You know that feeling, that little shiver you get when you hear about a big data breach?
Mm-hmm.
Well, try putting the number billions next to it. Billions!
Yeah.
Because that seems to be what we're looking at right now. Billions of login credentials, your usernames, passwords, basically the keys to your whole digital life.
It's huge.
And they're out there exposed, circulating. This isn't some future threat. It's happening right now. It's global.
And you know the really unsettling thing? It's not like one massive hack just happened yesterday.
Right.
It's actually, well, it's much more insidious than that. It's cumulative.
Cumulative. How so?
Think of it like an aggregation of data that's been stolen over many years. We're talking thousands of separate, smaller data breaches.
Ah, okay.
So this constant sort of low-level theft means our usual defenses, the ones looking for the big bang, they're getting bypassed by like 1,000 tiny leaks.
Wow. So it's a different kind of problem entirely.
It makes defending against it incredibly complex. It's a systemic weakness, really.
That really changes how you think about it, doesn't it? We're going to dive deep into this based on a detailed report from the Cybersecurity Insights Desk. It's dated June 25th, 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems researchers from Cyber News were actually some of the first to really flag this massive compilation.
Yeah, they put out some early warnings. So what does this giant pile of data mean for you listening right now?
Good question.
Our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is to really break it down. What happened? How did all this sensitive info get gathered together? What's the real impact? And maybe most importantly,
What can you do about it?
exactly, actionable steps you can take to protect yourself. Because the digital world, well, it feels increasingly vulnerable. We want to get past just the what and into the why this really matters to you.
Perfect. Okay, so if it's not one giant hack,
Hmm?
what is the common thread here? You mentioned these sort of cumulative breaches. What's enabling that? What are these infostealer malware things?
Right, infostealers. They're a specific type of malware, and they're sneaky. They're designed to quietly just siphon off sensitive data directly from a device once it's infected.
What kind of data?
Primarily login credentials, obviously, that's the gold, but also things like session tokens.
Session tokens.
Yeah, think of them like temporary digital passes. They keep you logged into a website so you don't need your password every single visit.
Okay.
If an attacker grabs one of those, they can sometimes just bypass your password completely. Infostealers also scrape autofill data from browsers, names, addresses, maybe even credit card details if you save them.
Oh, wow.
And maybe most alarming for some, cryptocurrency wallet keys.
That's a terrifyingly broad range of data. Is there anything they prioritize, or do they just grab everything they can?
Yeah.
And crucially, how does this nasty software even get onto our computers or phones in the first place?
It is pretty broad, but yeah, credentials are top priority. As for how they spread, it's often the usual suspects, unfortunately. Social engineering, user error.
Like phishing emails.
Exactly. Phishing emails with malicious attachments, that's a big one. Or drive-by downloads where just visiting a compromised website can be enough to infect you.
Oof.
They also hide inside fake software installers or, cracked versions of paid apps that people download to save money. Basically, tricking the user into letting them in.
That sounds frighteningly common.
It is, and it just highlights how easily anyone, an everyday user, can accidentally become a victim without even realizing it for a while.
Okay, so that brings us back to what you said earlier. This isn't one big event, but an aggregation. All these individual infections happening over years,
Yeah.
they all feed into this one massive available pool of stolen data.
Precisely. That's the picture. Thousands of tiny leaks, like you said, contributing to a flood. Each time an infostealer hits a device, it grabs a batch of credentials.
Right.
Then over time, cybercriminals gather all this data from countless different breaches. They collect it, they index it, put it into these huge unified data sets.
And this recent exposure is basically that massive collection getting leaked or sold.
Essentially, yes. This enormous collection of aggregated data gets exfiltrated from wherever it was being stored and then published or sold, making it easily accessible to, well, anyone looking to exploit it.
And when you think about these being the digital keys,
Exactly. Keys to personal accounts, corporate systems, maybe even government networks. The scale becomes, staggering is the right word.
so, okay, billions of digital keys floating around. What kind of digital doors are we talking about? Which platforms are really feeling the heat from a leak this big?
Oh, the list is long. It touches almost every part of our online lives. You've got the major social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, places like that.
Makes sense.
Then email providers, Gmail, Outlook, the big ones, financial services, definitely, e-commerce sites where you shop, even streaming services. It's pretty pervasive.
And if your credentials are in that pile?
The consequences can range from, maybe a minor hassle to total financial disaster.
What's the full spectrum of risk for an individual? You mentioned financial loss, but what else?
Absolutely. It goes beyond just money. The immediate risk is account takeover. Criminals get full control of your online profiles.
Right.
That can quickly lead to financial fraud if they get into banking or shopping accounts. And of course, identity theft is a major concern.
Scary stuff.
And beyond that, this exposed data makes phishing scams much more effective. Attackers can use your real info to craft super convincing, personalized scams that spear phishing.
Targeted attacks.
Exactly. And on a bigger scale, if business accounts get compromised, it can even lead to corporate espionage or help attackers breach larger company networks.
So it sounds overwhelming. What's the security community actually doing about this mountain of data? Can they even process it all?
They're moving fast. Threat intelligence firms like Cybernews, who first reported it, they're already digging into these huge data sets. They're trying to map out which domains are affected, alert companies, get the word out to the public.
Okay, that's good.
And you'll probably see services like Have I Been Pound? You know that website?
Yeah, I do. Very useful.
They'll be working quickly to add these new credentials to their database, which means you can go there, type in your email address, and see instantly if your information was caught up in this specific breach or any others they track.
That's a really crucial tool for people. So, okay, for everyone listening right now, feeling maybe a bit anxious, what are the immediate practical things we should be doing, like right now? This feels like a moment to act.
You're absolutely right. Immediate action is key. First things first, change your passwords, especially on your major accounts, email, banking, social media. And crucially, if you've been reusing the same password anywhere, stop. Now's the time.
Good advice. Hard habit to break for some.
It is. Second, enable two-factor authentication, 2FA, wherever it's offered. It adds such a vital extra layer of security. It means even if someone has your password, they likely can't get in without that second code from your phone or app.
Makes sense. What else?
Third, seriously consider using a trusted password manager. They can generate really strong, unique passwords for every single site you use, and they store them securely. It takes the burden off you trying to remember dozens of complex passwords.
I have to admit, before I started using one, I was definitely guilty of, maybe recycling 5 or 6 passwords across way too many sites. It's terrifying when you think about it now.
Totally relatable. So many of us did that. Those 3 steps are critical right now.
Okay, password changes, 2FA everywhere, password manager. Got it. What about just ongoing security? Good habits we should adopt as part of our regular digital lives.
Yeah, beyond those immediate fixes, it's about ongoing vigilance, proactive security hygiene, as they say. Be super cautious about clicking links in emails or messages or downloading software from sources you don't absolutely trust. Those are prime ways infostealers get in.
Right, the entry points.
Exactly. Also, get in the habit of regularly checking your bank statements, your credit card activity, even looking for unusual logins or posts on your social media accounts. Just keep an eye out for anything weird.
Good practice anyway.
Definitely. And finally, keep using those breach tracking tools like Have I Been Pwned periodically. Check your main email addresses, maybe even your phone number if the service allows, just to stay aware if your info pops up in new leaks. Staying vigilant really is your best ongoing defense.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. We've talked about individual risk and protection. But a breach this huge, how does it hit businesses? And even governments? What are those wider ripple effects you see?
Well, connecting this to the bigger picture, for individuals, like we said, it's not just money, it's a big loss of privacy, feeling more vulnerable to scams, which causes real emotional stress. For businesses, the fallout can be severe, massive damage to their brand reputation, customers lose trust. Then there are potentially huge fines under data privacy laws, like GDPR in Europe or CCPA in California.
Right, the regulatory hammer.
Exactly. Plus, the sheer cost of dealing with the incident hiring response teams, maybe increase cybersecurity insurance premiums down the line, it gets expensive fast.
And what about governments? You mentioned potential national system keys being out there. That sounds like national security territory.
Absolutely. For governments, there's an urgent need to look at strengthening laws around cybersecurity, maybe mandating faster disclosure when breaches happen, setting clearer reporting standards,
More regulation.
potentially, or at least clearer rules. And perhaps even more critical is the push for better international cooperation. Cybercrime doesn't respect borders, so the efforts to deter it can't be stuck within them either. It requires a global effort.
Well, this whole deep dive, it really hammers home, it's a grim reminder, isn't it? The cumulative danger of this infostealer malware stuff.
He really is.
Seeing the scale, billions of credentials, it just underlines how vital proactive cybersecurity is for absolutely everyone. Individuals, companies, you name it.
What's really striking here, I think, is how these login details truly are the keys. Keys to our personal lives, keys to corporate systems, even keys to national infrastructure in some cases.
Yeah.
And when breaches this big happen, it shows more than just, isolated technical glitches. It reveals systemic vulnerabilities, cracks in the foundation of our whole digital ecosystem.
Indeed. It kind of forces us to ask a bigger, maybe uncomfortable question, doesn't it? As we rely more and more on these digital identities, these interconnected systems for, well, almost everything, are we, just by doing that, inherently creating new kinds of security challenges, maybe unforeseen ones that even our best individual efforts changing passwords using 2FA might not be enough to solve entirely?
That's a really important thought.
It makes you wonder, where does the ultimate responsibility for our collective digital safety actually lie in the long run? Maybe it's somewhere beyond just us as individual users. Definitely something to ponder as you navigate your own digital world.